Yo, how's everyone doing out there today? Welcome back to Wildcat MTG, and today I'm going to take a crack at a Modern Horizons 3 Play Booster box. This one's going to be for me. This will be my second Play Booster box that I've opened for myself. And my first one, I had pretty good success. We had some strange luck in there where I happened to name the specific things I was looking for on multiple occasions and open them right afterwards, and that feels really good. Maybe we can duplicate that today. Let's find out. Lots of fun stuff. I'm intrigued to see how the play boxes have held. So we are going to talk about pricing a little bit in these today, in these play boxes, play booster boxes. Right now, as of the filming of this video, they are sitting at about just about $250, maybe just under, but let's just call it $250. And there's been some conversation. It's like, hey, can you get your value out of these? Is there enough to justify a $250 price tag? I think there is, but I do think that it's harder than you might think. That's not to say that I don't think that there's good value in the set. That's not to say that I think the set is bad. I just think right now, with where singles are at, it is a challenge. It's certainly not an automatic. Okay, start off with a Kami of Jealous Thirst. Well, Nadu's not a bad place to start. I think Nadu is still sitting about $10 to $11 right now. So this is still one of the better rares right now. So, yeah, good start for us. Good start indeed. All right, deep analysis, yada, yada, yada. We can separate out the comments from the comments. Why not? Why not? Okay, hey, solid start. I think Nadu's probably about 11, like right around $11, maybe 12. A lot of conversation around that card. A lot of conversation. Okay, Party Thrasher. So we have a foil rare in my first play box, and I'm curious to know if this trend continues. I think I had like 4 or 5 foil rare / mythics in that box. We have our first one pretty early on in this one, and that is Party Thrasher. Not a value target at this point in time. Kudo Among Bears, King Among Bears, is our second rare, or our next rare in this pack. And that is going to do it there. Born Power Stone, Hunger Tides. There is some value in the uncommons. Mostly the Vexing Bauble, and then what's the blue card? Sink into Stupor. I think that's like a $6 uncommon right now. The Sink into Stupor, which is an MDFC card that is really pretty strong. Okay, next pack. Serum Visionary as our foil. Rare is a Spy Master's Vault. I want to see Phyrexian Towers. I actually don't think I've opened a single Phyrexian Tower for myself yet. That's something I aspire to open. That's what we want. Okay. Haven't had... technically we had a foil pack that then had 2 rares in it. I don't think we've had 2 rares otherwise. Also interested to see what kind of mythic counts we're getting from these. I'm going to guess right around 6 to 7 would seemingly be the average for these boxes. All right, Lethal Throwdown. Rare Detectives Phahonyx. Second rare, Jet Medallion. Okay, all right. Now, all the medallions are down right now, as you might expect after a very recent reprint. You know, what's crazy is that it was reprinted in Commander Masters, the whole medallion cycle. And they were like, I think Jet and Ruby were sitting at the top at like 14, 15, 16. I think Jet's probably like 5-ish now. Again, not bad. And, I'll say that if you needed medallions, now is a really swell time to pick them up, because I think the Emerald is like $1.50. I think the Pearl is like a couple of bucks. Sapphire maybe sitting around 3. And again, Jet around maybe 5 to 6. And the Ruby is seeing modern play, so that does have a home right now, and as such, does have more value. I think but even that, it's like $8 for a base copy. Not to mention if you want to get yourself like a fancy borderless foil version, or even that's still only in the teens. Mythic is Tamiyo. There we go. Really good start to the Mythics for us. Tamiyo is a card people seem to be really high on, and it's easy to flip. Like if you build in the right deck, and you can flip Tamiyo. What do I mean by flip it? When you draw your 3rd card in a turn, exile Tamiyo, the return of the battlefield transformed, and she transforms into the back of a Magic card. Just kidding. That was my magic trick. There's another rare in this pack. Tamiyo, Seasoned Scholar, and this also does some things. Pretty good card. I think Tamiyo is sitting about $30 right now, so that is a genuinely very good hit. 6, also a pretty good hit for us. The borderless version, I think, is like 11, 12. I think the borderless foil version is like 25. Base copy of 6 is probably in the, no pun intended, in the 6 range. I think that's probably about right. So, also a pretty strong rare. Okay. Conjure, Stump Stomp, Dreadmobile. And that'll do it for that pack. Is there a list? There's special guests. I don't think there's a list for this set, is there? I don't recall. I don't think so. Eldrazi spawn tokens, which I unironically need. Springheart Nantuko, also a card. Pairs pretty well with that whole Winged Wisdom Nadu card. Springheart, I think, is about $5 right about this point. So also a pretty solid rare. Reform, which is an interesting reprint. Cool. Now, I mentioned this in the beginning, like, even though I think we're a little past 2 weeks out from release, so I think it's fair to start at least talking about pricing and talking about EV of boxes and that sort of thing. I, in no way, shape, or form, think that pricing has settled, right? There are still some cards that we're going to look back a month, 2 months, 3 months from now and go, boy, I can't believe that card was that much money. Seething Landscape. Rare is a Disruptor Flute. I think Flute's a couple of bucks. I don't think it's quite 3, so I'm not going to put it up top. I could be wrong about that. Meteoric Mace, Vortex, Wormcoil Larva. Actually, I don't really see that card very often as an uncommon, even when I've been drafting. No fetch lands. Fetch lands seem to be about an average of 2 to 3 per play box. The Hunger Tide Rises as a foil uncommon. Flare of Duplication. Cool. A flare that I like. Actually, what's wild is that the flare cycle, for as strong as it seems, for the free spell cycle, is actually a lot more timid in price than you might expect. Like, I think the Flare of Duplication, it may not even be $3 for a base copy. I'm going to put it up top because it's a card I like, but it's probably hovering between $2 and $3.50. Sylvan Safekeeper, which was a good reprint here. Nice rare. Rush of Inspiration. Like the Flare of Denial, which everyone is obviously very hyped on. The blue one, which is a counter-target spell if you sacrifice a non-blue token creature. Even that one's only like 14. I think it just hasn't found its home yet. Here we go. Witch Enchanter. Rare is a Monumental Henge. Another land cycle that hasn't quite taken off. The green one, the Shifting Woodlands, had all sorts of pre-release hype and hasn't also found a home yet, but has a lot of potential to it. Planar Genesis. Okay. Yeah, I think about 2 to 3... Oh, wrong pile, of course. I think about 2 to 3 fetch lands per box is about the average. I have heard boxes, in fact, I know of boxes that have had 0 in them, which just probably feels pretty bad. I've seen boxes with like 4, upwards of 5. So that's the range, but I'm going to guess the average is about 2 to 3. There's our stamped card, a stamped card. Tune the Narrative as a foil. Dreamtide Whale is our rare. Single rare. Annoyed Allosaur. Sink in a Stupor. Good $4 or $5 uncommon at this point. Not a nothing burger. Okay. 2 packs left in this first column. Trucking right along. Have some hits, but nothing crazy. Although Tamiyo, I gotta say, that's an upper tier hit. I'm incorrect in saying nothing crazy, because Tamiyo as a $30 hit is probably for the base set, probably one of the 5 best hits in the set. So, I don't mean to downplay that. That's Reform in the as a foil. Mythic is Shadow of the Second Sense. See, that's a much worse hit. That's what I get for taking Tamiyo for granted. $1 or $2? Question mark? I did have a couple people comment in my comments from another video when I pulled one that said they were able to put it in a couple of decks or put it in a deck and it made the deck go off. So good for them. Like, I'm not downplaying that it's a card that, has some play value, but as far as actual value is concerned, not a hit. Decidedly not a hit at this moment. All right, Phyrexian Worm token. Evo Witness in the pack foil version. Wrath of the Skies, a card that I actually do think has some potential, but probably like right around a couple of bucks, maybe $2.50 at this point. Junk Diver. Oh, there's a Commander Mythic. It's weird that it's like not back to back. It makes me think that when I do battles with this, I'm going to have to go through all of them very carefully if they're going to be hidden. Which I don't love. Okay. We are into our second column now. We do have 3 mythics. One of them is a Commander Mythic. They're so common, the Commander Mythics, that I don't think any of them are going to actually ever have any value. There are some Commander cards, on the other hand, that are starting to pop up in value. All right. Solstice Zealot. Rare is a white of the Reliquary. Kappa Cannoneer. Strong rare. Not like big value, but it's a card. Sundering Eruption. Cartographer. Oh, short on the uncommons in that pack. And a lot of commons. Okay. Pyretic Rebirth as a foil uncommon. Here's a mythic. Eladamri. I was just thinking, I haven't pulled it. I don't think I pulled an Eladamri for myself. Cool. Eladamri is probably about $10, so that is not a nothing burger. At $10 for Eladamri, it's a pretty sweet card, and I know a buddy of mine is probably interested in that card, so I'll set that aside. He will likely see the video and then hit me up. Okay. Now, all of this being said, we're approaching the halfway point in the box. We do have a $30 hit in Tamiyo. Again, I think Eladamri is probably about 10. Nadu is probably about 10 to 12. And a bunch of $3 or $4, $5 cards. Okay, not great. All right, Foreboding Landscape. Echo of Eternities in the Borderless. That's a sweet card. I think Echoes is probably in the Borderless $5 to $6 range. I think the foil is probably like 11, 12. Also a card that had a lot of pre-release hype, and rightfully so. Eldrazi and colorless decks in general are kind of all the rage right now. But also, you know, it's not something you can jam in every deck, right? So it's not a card where it's like, oh, I can just put 4 of in every deck. And like, no, it very specifically has a commander purpose, and it's probably a house in commander. But after that, I mean, even if you were playing that in a constructed deck, it's like a one-of. Philia. Hey, Philia, the Exuberant Shepherd. Cool card. Philia is probably running about $5. This is not... It's weird, and I underrated this card, and apparently I think the card is probably better than I initially thought it was. Philia is about $5. And it does some things. Okay, all right. Here we go. And there's our commons are. All right. Now at the halfway point in the box... No fetch lands. I would like to avoid the 0 fetch land box. That would be wonderful. Couple of solid mythics in there. Tamiyo being much more than solid. Roundyard Lurker. Rare is a Roshin. I have enough of these in etched foils alone that I don't even need any base copies. Thief of Existence as our second rare in this pack. Cool Eldrazi creature. And a Sapphire Medallion. All right, Sapphire Medallion's not terrible. Borderless Sapphire, and all of the Borderless Medallions, they absolutely crushed it with the art. These are beautiful. And I think the Sapphire Medallion is probably in the $6 to $8 range for the Borderless. Solid hit for sure. Okay, so we find ourselves at right around the halfway point with no fetch lands. We do have probably one of the better mythics in the set with Tamiyo. Eladamri strong. Shadow of the Second Sun and Kaith, not so much. And then Nadu is definitely our most valuable rare at this moment in time. Strix Serenade. Strix Serenade's probably above $3. Maybe not by a whole lot, but it is probably in that $3, $4 range as a base copy. Nightblade Suppression. And I'm also curious on the special guest aspect. I do believe I had one in my first box. It seems like they're about 1 per box, but I definitely don't think that's a given. Okay. Eldrazi Ravager as a foil uncommon. Rare. There we go. We're on the board. We are on the board with a Bloodstained Mire as our first fetch land of the box. Thank you, box. Absolutely will take that. And then we've got Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. And I don't think I really had any I definitely didn't have any copies before MH3, and I might not even... This still might be my first copy. So, actually kind of cool with that. Bogart Trawler. Some of these MDFC cards, I kind of talked about them already, are really good. If I didn't talk about them already, I've definitely talked about them in the past. But they really stepped up their game with the MDFC cards, the dual-sided cards in this set. Okay. Distinguished Conjurer. Rare is a Kozilek's Command. Talk about a rare that is really taking off. This card, I think, is about $13, $14 at this moment in time. This card it does a lot of work. It does a lot of work. So, huge hit for us. Again, around as a rare, around 12, 13 bucks. That is not insignificant, right? Good hit right there. That's what we're talking about. Excellent. I'm gonna throw Tamio on top. I don't know why it just bothers me. There we go. She's the best hit. She deserves to be on top. Okay. So we do have a Pro Medallion art. That's so crazy looking. That, again, borderless art. They really crushed it. All right. Still only one foil rare, by the way. As opposed to, I think I had like 5 in the first box. There's a rare Chthonian Nightmare. I think Nightmare is probably in like the $3 to $5 range. I don't think anybody's tried it and like had success with it that I know of, but you know, things move quickly early on in releases. But is, I think, at least a card that people are curious about. 3 packs left in this middle column. We're at least on the board with 1 fetch land. Thriving Skyclaw. Rare is a Ripples of Undeath. Buried Alive. Hey, there's a solid uncommon as well. That card was a lot of money prior to the reprint. I think Buried Alives were up like $8 to $10. All right, 2 packs left. Hoping for at least 2 more mythics in this box. And I'm going to say this. I don't like that the commander cards are in the set boxes, like the play boxes. I know people feel differently about that, but as somebody who drafts a lot, it's awkward to pull some of those commander cards in draft. Mythic. Kozilek. Hey, there we go. Nice. Nice. There's a really good mythic. Kozilek, I think, is like $17, $18. It's kind of like one of the lesser Eldrazi, but I was just commenting on Kozilek the other day. Maybe he's going to be less strong in like a constructed. The fact that he gives all of other colorless creatures you control, colorless, doesn't even say Eldrazi, just colorless creatures you control, +3/+2. It's basically like a triple anthem. Kozilek's good. And he has a cast trigger, right? So draw some cards, do some stuff, like maybe even a little underrated at this moment. And I admit I was a little underwhelmed when I first saw Kozilek, especially compared because we'd already seen Emrakul spoiled months prior. And then I think kind of all pale compared to Ulamog, because I think Ulamog is genuinely insane. But Kozilek might actually be a little underrated. All right, Orum's Chant. Hey, there's a really neat reprint. I don't think the Orum's Chant is worth more than $1 or $2, but if you remember back in the day, Scepter Chant with Isochron Scepter, that was a real thing. Hey, Vexing Bobble. Happy to have that Kozilek, though. That's a really good mythic for us. All right. Last pack of the middle column. That did help things. What else would help things would be another 1 to 2 fetch lands. That would be swell. Shattered Landscape. Rare is a Crabomination. And Nesting Grounds. Oh, see, there's another commander card. Just to trip me up. So there's a commander mythic. It is the Aetherflux Genius as the profile art. Borderless, call it whatever you want. The fact that it's under an uncommon also bothers me. Stop that. Like, once I hit the uncommons, I don't want to have to worry about having missed another rare mythic. Okay, last column of the box. We are now at 6 mythics, albeit 2 of them are commander, so only 4 of them are base set. We have seen a couple of borderless rares, and they're decent. Only 1 foil rare, which is a far cry from what I experienced in my first Play Booster box. Oops. There we go. Utter insignificance. Rare. Flare of Fortitude. Okay. Flare borderless is probably... I know the borderless foil carries a huge premium. I think the borderless, regular borders, I'm going to say in like the $5 to $6 range. I might be off on that. Double Flare. I think regular Flare is probably in like the $3 neighborhood. I'll put it up top. It may be even below that, but I still think it's probably above 3 at this moment. Victimize. Path of Annihilation. Ridiculous card in Limited. if you are building around Eldrazi. Okay, double Flare pack. Flare of Fortitude. I haven't actually... I might have one Flare of Denial for myself, but otherwise I've been opening a ton of all the other flares but that one. Disciple. Rare is a Party Thrasher. Putting stuff in the wrong pile again. And that is it. Cephalid Coliseum, which was a really good reprint. Like, needed reprint. Okay. Still on one fetch. What else could we want aside from fetches? I mean, got Kozilek's Command. That's pretty good. Got Nadu. Nadu. Do you say Nadu or Nadu? Eldrazi Linebreaker as our next rare. Pretty solid card. Shrieking Drake. Interesting Visions reprint. The Flying Man. 1 for a 1/1 flyer. Foil Nesting Ground. Rare is a Sowing Mycospawn. Actually, a card I rather like. I may have some plans for that card. Sapphire Medallion. Okay, Sapphire Medallion. Again, probably in like the 3 to 4-ish range. Sink into Stupor. That is our second one of this box. And again, as a $5 to $6 uncommon at this moment, I will take that. Null Elemental Blast. Skittering Precursor. Kozilek's Unsealing. Man, that's a heck of a pack. If I were drafting that pack, I would have some decisions on my hands. Okay, moving right along. Corrupted Shapeshifter as the foil common. Rare is a White Orchid Phantom. Neat. I think Orchid Phantom is a decent hit. Could be off on this. I know it's seeing some play, so maybe like in the $3 to $5 range. Invert Polarity, a card I personally like, but not a big value target. But this card is wacky. It is wacky. It certainly adds an element of surprise. If you can flip a coin, win a coin flip, and your opponent's spell becomes yours. Even at worst case, it just counters it, so it's just a more demanding cancel. Okay, next up, Ethereum Terramander. Rare is Abstruse Appropriation. That is it there. Blood-Soaked Insight is also a heck of a limited card. Looks like we got about 6 packs left. Still sitting on the 1 fetch land. All right, Spawn. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take these. I'm going to put these over here. I keep reaching across my body. I hate it. Ripples of Undeath. Worn Power Stone. Bridgeworks Battle. Oh, yeah. I was like, what is that card? Brain Surge. Sure. And Writhing Chrysalis. I haven't really talked about that card because it's a common, but apparently one of the highest win rates when played in Limited since they started tracking it on 17 lands, which is crazy, like 66% or better. That's absurd. Conduit Goblin. Mythic? Oh, Flage. Okay, all right. That's what I'm talking about. This is a really good hit. Flage was a card that didn't have a lot of like steam to it during previous season and has since really taken off. Running neck and neck with Tamiyo, both at about $30-31. So this is a really good hit. I think I might have to hang on to Flage. Priest, Charitable. Wow. Okay. All right. That was the kind of hit we needed. Another really big hit. So, we haven't hit like a top. At the very top right now would be Ulamog's Defiler. I think that card is still running about $50, $55. Then Ugin's Labyrinth. That's another mythic I would not mind pulling. But Tamiyo and Flage are, I think, both in the top 5. Shilgengar, Sire of Famine. Lelia. And that will do it there. So we probably have 2 of the top 5 or 6 value mythics. Emrakul's got to be up there as well. So maybe I'm missing one in there. And I know Soren's been creeping his way up. Proud Pack Rhino. Rare is a Guide of Souls. I think Guide of Souls is probably above $3. Nesting Grounds, Witch Enchanter, Witch. Breaker of Creation. That card is also a bit of a house. 2 packs left. 1 fetch land, huh? Okay. Another art card. This one with the gold stamp. Foil Plains. Only 1 foil rare, by the way. Very different outcome this time. Infernal Captor. Rare. Volatile Stormdrake. I think Stormdrake's right around $2. I don't think it's over 3 at this moment. Deep Analysis. Revitalizing. Urza's Cave. Urza's Cave also a uncommon that is carrying some value. And that will do it there. All right, last pack. Solid rares, or excuse me, solid mythics. We have actually, I say solid. I should say better than that. We've had really good success in the mythics. 1 fetch land kind of hurts. There is a second foil rare. Would have been weird to not have at least 1. It is a foil 6, and as I mentioned, I think 6 is probably right around $5 to $6. So pack foil version probably about the same, right around $6. Rare after that is a Null Drifter. Guess we hadn't seen one of those. And that will do it there. Junk Diver. Discharge. Retro frame? Is that like the only retro frame I've seen in this box? It's bizarre. And it's mixed in with the other stuff. Like they wanted to make it special. It's really interesting. Some really interesting choices. Or interesting missorting. One of those two. Okay. So let's talk about this. This is the second play box we've done. Crushed it here, right? So I'm going to say 30-32, 30-32, 18, 10. Hurtsville, I mean, I'll take 1 fetch, and I have seen 0 fetch land boxes, but oof, that one hurt a little bit. Command and Nadu, probably about 12 and 14 respectively, pretty good. And then a bunch of like $3 to $6, $3 to $7 cards over here. It'll be interesting to see how this box shakes out. I can see why the 250 benchmark is tough, especially if fetch lands. And there's a degree where you maybe want to make fetch lands a little bit more difficult to come by. Than you did with the enemies, because the fetch lands for the allied fetch lands have always been less valuable, except for right now in time, right prior to the reprint, because Modern Horizons 2 had been in so long. But people kind of forget, like when Modern Horizons 2 came out, Scalding Tarn was like $70 and Misty was like $55, right? So the fact that those cards came down to like $18 at the reprint of this set, Delta, Polluted Delta was probably the highest value allied fetch land, was what, maybe 40 for the most recent printing in cons. So there was probably a pretty big discrepancy, and having the same pull rates as Modern Horizons 2 for fetch lands would have made them sink even faster. As it stands, I still think the allies, you might see 3 of them, as many as 3 of the 5 drop below 10 at some point. We'll see. What do I know? Anyways, that's going to do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, do me a favor. If you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button for me, hit the like button for me, and by all means, drop me some comments. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much, everybody, and be well.